So Highland Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Nick.
I'm Hayden.
I'm Rosa. We're for your health.
And we're going to have some questions to say about the new album, This Bitter Garden. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you guys feel about the response to it so far?
It's been pretty solid so far. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
People are being nice, which is cool.
Yeah, Lambgoat hasn't said anything mean about us yet.
Which is crazy.
Still time.
There's still plenty of
Still
time.
time.
It just came out on Friday. Plenty of time. But
Yeah.
the album absolutely rips. It's so good.
Album fucks. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Of course. Hell yeah. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
The thing is that we picked the title a long time ago and kind of built the story around it. And one of the things that happened when we were working on this record is that like we kind of restarted a couple times. And originally it was more of a concept album. It had to do with like a literal garden, and but it's just kind of, it's like a more of a like a vestigial thing at this point, but it still carries like the same, I guess, like sentiment and vibes.
Mhm.
Sorry if that was a non-answer.
No, I think it works really well as allegory now in its current state. Like I feel like it's a great stand-in image for like relationships between parties.
Yeah.
All right.
That, and also I guess as for the cover art, it's sort of an amalgamation of the imagery in the album, and I guess like Rosa said, I'm really into like allegorical like representations, and it's kind of a follow-up to our first album, which had a character, a ballerina.
Yep.
And yeah, I guess it's just like the character is just like the personification of the setting.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Makes
All right.
sense.
Can we get a rough idea of the timeline? Because I know you mentioned you guys have kind of restarted the album a couple of times. So when the writing process started for the album, when you guys had the masters in hand, rough dates don't have to be exact.
So I think we started writing the first couple of tracks here at like end of 2023. We originally went in to just track two songs, track 1 and track 9 as singles first.
Mhm.
And then it just kind of turned into a full-blown record. We got masters in, I don't know, pretty recent.
Like February.
Yeah.
February, March. I think it was March.
Yeah. We went in to record with E.M. Hudson, who did a great job. We're very happy with it, in November of 24. And we were there for like 15 days, 13 songs in 15 days was tough, but
God damn.
we did it.
Impressive. Okay. And you guys said you went into the studio only with the intentions to record 2 songs. So at what point of the process, the album process, did you guys kind of introduce the concept? And then at what point did you guys say, fuck that, never mind, let's just do our own thing?
So it kind of taking a step back. This is I guess this iteration of the album is like not the first version of like us starting LP2.
Okay.
We actually started like 3 years ago or so, and we kind of wrote a bunch of demos
Okay.
with a slightly different lineup, and it just didn't work. We had like a bunch of songs, and we were even like setting recording time and everything, and basically we just like assessed it and we were like, we're not ready to do this. And also, I don't know, we kind of started over again, and there's only like a couple like ideas that made it onto the album, like musically, and like some of the lyrics did for a few of the songs. But yeah, I kind of forget what the question was now.
The question was just when the concept was kind of brought to the table and then when it was dismissed in the entire album process.
So kind of my timeline of it, right, is about 3.5 years ago, we really committed to the idea of like writing LP2. And I went away and started writing music. This was before we had fully fleshed out the lineup. So it was like me, Hayden, Johnny, the bass player, and Sim, the key player, keys. So we started writing the at that point what was like basically the second version of the album, and I think that's when the concept started coming to Hayden. Then that's when what Hayden was describing happened, where we decided we weren't ready. We just like decided to set it to bed, keep touring, flesh out the lineup, and see where we were after all that. And then once we hit the beginning of version 3, which is what we ended up with, Davenport and the Rotting Pear, so tracks 1 and tracks 9, we recorded those. We got them all done, mixed, mastered, and everything, just like ready to release them as a single. And then one of the people on our team said, don't waste these songs. Don't put them out. You should write an album. So we decided to revisit like the mission, so to speak. I think it's funny because it all blurs together, but it's been kind of a long process. From start to end.
I kind of forgot about this fact until literally just now. You kind of brought something out, but so for our first record, we put it out with the label 12 Gauge Records, and we actually had they offered us a deal for another record that we just. It's a long story, but basically, we were going to put the second LP out with them. Like this was like offered to us back in like 2021, like after we put out the first record, and there was just like lineup changes and shit that kept us from getting that, like fulfilling that. Basically, that was I guess the first version, and basically it was just like a lot of stopping and starting until we were finally able to like focus and like put this album out. And it's kind of cool because like we were saying about like how we recorded those 2 songs to put out as like just singles. Basically the label that we ended up signing with, 3 Dot Recordings, they heard the songs that we were going to put out, and they were like, these are pretty good demos, and we were like, damn, those are master tracks. That's
tough.
And then they gave us money, and we finished the record, so that was cool. Or we wrote a record.
That's good.
Hey, I mean, you got there in the end, so that's all that matters.
Closers.
Exactly.
So can you guys tell us a little bit about the writing process for the album?
I guess I'll start. So this record's kind of a big amalgamation of a lot of people's tastes, and a lot of people just brought kind of everything they had to the table. And the tricky part was kind of figuring out how to mesh it together, like meld it together. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Like,
I feel like one of us would send a text message and say, I think we should do something where, and it's like, I came up with a 5-second thing in my brain that I think we should make real.
Expand on.
And either I would go home and write something, Nick would go home and write something, Sim and Hayden would have long conversations about what they wanted to see in terms of like the direction. Johnny also wrote a couple things, so everybody was really like trying to contribute as much as possible to, you know, just make it real, get the job done.
Make LP2 happen.
In terms of like actually writing, like some of the songs started like completely in the DAW on the computer, and some of them were just like we were in our practice space just throwing shit at the wall and like literally just like riffing until we found you know, a piece, and then we would, you know, try to turn it into a song as one does. So
like for example, in the practice room one day, Nick says, "Oh, I've had this idea for 6 years, 7 years,
long time."
And we ended up working on it, cutting it up, moving parts around in the studio, and that became the final single with Empty Promises and Loaded Guns. So there's like things like that where Nick's been carrying that around for not decades, but a long
a decade.
Like at this point, sure.
And I think everybody brought something like that to the table. Like Hayden mentioned earlier that there are some lyrics from an earlier version of the album that made their way onto this sort of final product. So I feel like there were a lot of things throughout where we, you have an idea, you fall in love with it, and maybe it's not the right time for it to like see the light.
Had to go in
And
the incubator.
had to incubate,
Yeah.
had to sit around, collect stat points. Shut up.
No, I think that's basically the story of the second album. Like it was in the incubator for a while, and like we knew when it was actually ready.
It was cool. One final point quickly to add, like, so a lot of these songs were, parts people have been carrying around for a long time, but then like Davenport and Gaia Wept, those were just like, let's just get in a room and see what happens. Gaia Wept, we didn't get finished writing until like we were in the studio. We did a crazy rework.
I finished it like my part like 30 minutes before I recorded it.
Damn. Yeah.
So it's cool to like, see like where all the different headspaces for each of the songs were and how they kind of just like got married in a way. It's cool.
Yeah. To that point, like about Gaia Wept, which was the single right before this most recent one, with like the Blair Witch found footage video. That one was actually what is now like 2.5 minutes with like heavy breakdowns and fast riffs. It was one of the riffs and the final breakdown, but they were previously part of a different version of the song that was like, it had stuff built around it, and we ended up removing all of it except for what's now the song.
Yeah.
We were like, this is so cool, and it was just riff salad. And
I still maintain that
Eric was like, what are you guys doing?
Eric was
He cut it apart. This was actually like one of the first moments when he really went into producer mode, and he literally he had the demo track and he opened it up and he was like picking it apart like Tony Stark. Literally he separated it into literally he separated it into 2 different songs and he was like, pick one.
Yeah. You're
That's
not doing
awesome.
both.
Yeah, no.
but
Fuck yeah.
But funny point about that is there is still part of the still in the incubator now longer version of that song after one of the shorter tracks. I think it's track 6, the Radiant Apostasy. It ends with this really airy pretty transition outro,
The trap beat.
the trap beat, and that was part of the original version of Gaia Wept, which we put in there to transition into the piano track.
I don't know what we were cooking with that first one, but Eric saved us. Thank you.
I still like it a lot.
Maybe one day it'll reach the people, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Fingers crossed. All right. So, what song off the album took longest to write, and which one is each of your own personal favorite?
Longest to write was your track.
Because you've been working on Valley for.
I guess, yeah. So I guess In the Valley of the Weeping is the one that took the longest to fully come together. I wrote the guitars, bass, and my version of the drums and the keys, and basically was sending it to them every 3 months, being like, will someone please say something about this? And
it was daunting. It was so big.
Yeah.
It was like a minute longer. There's like a long heavy bridge, and it used to be even longer, and it had like a deathcore breakdown in there. It was really
so you were sending us at the time, like all of our songs were like 90 seconds long.
Yeah.
And this was like a 5.5 minute like black metal deathcore.
I can understand why the group chat was crickets.
Intimidating.
Yeah.
With like 5 synth tracks, and I was like, I literally don't know what to do with this.
Where do I start?
You can land this plane.
God, you gotta see the vision. You just gotta see the vision. Damn.
No, it happened. I'm really happy with how it turned out, but it was like that song was really hard to finish, I think.
And that one had been in the incubator for how long before it finally got its done?
Starting around version 2 of the album. So it held over in pretty much its complete state.
3 years.
About 3 years. With me the whole time being like, guys, I promise, like this fits.
I'm
Like
cooking.
it'll work, I promise. And
Mhm.
I people seem to like
I
it.
did.
So
Yep.
There you go. You're onto something.
and
And
so
then personal favorites.
that's
Oh.
probably my personal favorite. But if I pick one that isn't just the one that I like obsessed with for 3 years,
Mhm.
it's probably one that Nick wrote mostly, which is Land Without Fault. I think that's probably my favorite. It's the one I go to the most. When
Okay.
one time when we were planning the sequencing, Hayden was like, "As far as I'm concerned, that's a B-side," and I was like, "No,
Oh my god.
I don't want to get rid of it. I love that." And they
Yeah.
definitely meant
It's like get rid
well,
of it.
no, they
It
meant
goes
like,
on the B
they
side.
meant like the literal
Yeah, on the
Yeah,
side
yeah.
B. Yeah.
like,
Yeah, not
no,
a
I'm not
B-side
upset
track.
about that.
Yeah.
So no, it turned out okay.
There you go. We made it.
It's on side B.
It's on
And
sure
Sure
awesome.
it is.
Yeah.
Yep. As Rosa said earlier, with Empty Promises and Loaded Guns, I had written for an old band I was a part of like forever ago, 2019, 2020, something like that.
Mhm.
A lot of it kind of stayed intact. There were some kind of production choices that Eric helped with. There's like kind of that section in the middle of the bridge where Hayden's doing the clean vocals and it's super reverby and stuff. That was an Eric idea. But yeah, I don't know if I would say that one's my favorite, but like Valley is kind of Rose's baby and Loaded Guns is kind of my baby.
When
Oh.
Eric was
Yeah.
tearing it apart, you were
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
Nick was
No.
like,
Yeah.
that's my son.
we ended
Yeah.
up cutting a part from the song for good that Nick was like devastated over. I remember it was like your favorite part of the
Well,
song.
I was like, this is the chorus, and
Nick was-
everyone was like,
Hell no.
I was writing along to it. I just kept doing like this one part that Nick was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know what you're talking about, honestly."
Exactly.
Like, this is
I'm
the
shooting in the
chorus.
dark. Yeah.
And I think it is. It's probably the strongest chorus on the record.
so. But my favorite, I think, is Longinus, track 8.
Real.
Kicks off side B pretty nicely, I think.
I like that one too.
Really catchy breakdown. Really catchy outro vocal too.
I don't know what my favorite one is. It changes. I think it's probably Land Without Full. I think that's track 11, right? But that is one that like I was really obsessing over, and there's like these outro vocals that like I had written this melody to, and I was like super hard set on it, and Rosa and Sim were like, "No, we're doing this," and I was like, "No!" But I'm like so happy that they did because it's so much better, and it's like my favorite part on the album. It's like the end of that song.
I remember it slightly differently, which was Hayden had an idea and then said, "I hate my idea. I don't care anymore."
Oh no!
And
I don't
they were
know,
like,
man.
they were like, "I'm not putting anything down." And Sim and I were like, "No, like you can." And we went upstairs because the control room where we were tracking strings and like going over ideas together in front of the big desktop computer, Apple Mac thing. So Sim and I went upstairs to the kitchen and sat there and just like played the ending on a loop and came up with our parts. And originally it was 2 singing parts. And when I showed them my singing part, everybody was like, "What if you were screaming instead?"
Yeah.
It's like, you know, tried and true.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So how did the track of this album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, close be a closer, shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
So Closer was 100% Closer.
We knew.
We're hard set on that. Everything else for the most part was kind of in limbo, other than so track 2 and 3.
I'm gonna disagree. I think
Okay.
Davenport was always the opener.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Everybody
Yeah, no, I
but
think
me.
the opener and the closer.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
the
I
room
think
felt
it's
quiet.
like
That's
everybody else
crazy.
is like that's number one. I don't know anyone else
Yeah.
that besides you that.
That sounds right. But track 2 and 3, and then 11 and 12 were always supposed to be sandwiched together.
Mhm.
So that was kind of tricky figuring out like which side of the record they went on, because we knew we did not want to split those up. Sim wrote a really nice like piano and string arrangement that from Flowers for the Worst of Them that flowed really well into Loaded Guns. And then Land Without Fold and Your New Curse are basically like part one and part two of a narrative.
Mm.
So we want to keep those together.
Yeah, to the point that Land Without Fold and Your New Curse, the lyrics are interconnected. The last line of track 11 into the first line, track 12, it's just a run-on. So that's pretty cool, I
Yeah.
think.
That's dope.
That's very dope. I love that shit. And would you guys be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating the record?
Mm.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I have okay. On the initial version of Gaia Wept, we included 2 samples.
Mhm.
Oh, it's
From-
time. People are gonna know. Okay, go ahead. Let's go.
We included 2 samples from Smiling Friends,
Oh my god!
which that I think says it all about the headspaces. Like we were all positively losing it. Tour Brain was going on where we had been out for what, 26 days last
Something.
October.
Yeah.
So we got back.
We jumped
we were
onto a full
fucking
US like basically like 3 weeks before it left, knowing that we would have to then
Do a
go
record.
straight to record.
Mm.
And we thought it was a good idea. And, so basically like by the time we actually got to the studio, like we were all going like fucking crazy.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you remember how I said we did 13 songs in 15 days?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Those days were really like
Yeah.
we would get started at 10 a.m. and we'd track what we needed to track, but if a part needed like reworked or needed created altogether, we would go to what we affectionately called night school. And
Oh.
Because Eric would leave at 8 p.m.
Yeah, everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, most of us would stay up pretty much until like 3 or 4 a.m. for the first
Goddamn.
like week and a half, just like drilling ideas, making sure we got it where we wanted it to be before we laid it down for real the next day.
Smart. Yeah.
So
Yeah, like 15, 16-hour days for the first week and a half.
that's a lot.
We were also we were staying like 15 feet from where we were recording.
Mhm.
So it was like, and we were also just in the middle of rural Illinois, so like there was just like
Nothing to do.
Nothing.
there was
No.
nothing.
No.
There was actually this like shitty like video like cafe called Lottie's
Take that
Cafe.
back. It's not shitty.
that just had like
She
it was
gets
like
me.
one of those like bars with like they had like
That's
3
awesome.
like video slot machines that we would just go to and like that was the only entertainment besides like working on the album was like us gambling at this like strip mall like internet cafe.
Because we didn't walk far enough to discover that there was a full bowling alley like
Yeah.
3 blocks further up the street that
No way.
also had between 3 and 5 video poker machines.
But the video
Holy
poker
shit.
at the
Yeah,
shitty
so-
cafe
Yeah.
was
It's not
entertainment
shitty.
enough.
It's not
Um,
shitty.
our good friend Caden Clinton played drums on this record. He plays in a band called Pool Kids, and he and I would sneak out, hit a little Lottie sesh
Mhm.
before we went to night school, and I think that did wonders. We were down horrendous.
Crazy kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is funny because while you were doing that, Johnny and I watched all of the newer Planet of the Apes movies.
Yep.
Fuck. So everyone was sneaking off to do their own thing.
It was like Sim and Hayden were going into the city to go to shows.
That we did that one. That was actually that was the turning point when I realized like we didn't have to kill ourselves. It's like our friends in Origami Angel happened to be playing in St. Louis while we were like kind of near there. So we
Oh.
took a trip to see them, and it was like the first time in like a week that we had like literally left underground.
Oh, wow.
So it was like I was like everything's gonna be okay.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's
music's
gonna be
awesome.
okay.
Reset
Shout
the
out, Tommy.
equilibrium.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we were having daily, sometimes more than once a day, like all of us standing outside the studio tossing around a football. Just
Eric made us do this.
Eric made us do this every day.
Yeah. Fresh air. You know.
Well,
For sure, it's
vitamin
good.
Yeah, because we were
Sunlight.
definitely, I think, we're all pretty strong-willed people with big personalities, I think. Especially when we're in a little room together for months on end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know,
There was a moment where we were like fighting. Like I'd say the biggest fight on the record was like there's on the track 8 Longinus. There's this like right before like there's this dancey sass part. There's just this like errant guitar note that was like an actual mistake, and Eric thought it was funny, so he left it in. And we were like,
Eric and I thought it was funny together because it was me between takes, just like moving my hand, and it goes, and Eric and I the whole time just kept laughing about how perfect it felt, and
Yeah.
we knew everybody was going to be mad about it, but we knew we were going to fight for it.
yeah, we're like yelling at each other. Right? Like in retrospect, it's so funny, and it's like such a like basically like a microcosm of I guess like what it was like to be there. But it was like it felt so important. It felt like my life depended on it. Like
But one little
I
note.
was like,
yeah.
we're not putting the fucking record out with this noise. And
We're fucking professionals.
no, literally,
Uh-huh.
no, like literally, and then like I just gave up. And I was like, I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's kind of
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's humanizing.
Yeah.
It's like it's got like I feel like there's so many parts on the album and in the band's like discography where like a schoolyard bullying quality exists, you know? Like there's a lot of kind of mockery, I think, whenever I listen to the guitar parts, the lyrics, like it weaves in and out, you know? And to me that felt like such a funny way to extend that theme into the music itself. Just like have a little transition, like bullshit jazz moment where like you're leading into the next part with this thing that barely makes sense. I still defend it.
I love it. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah, it's nice.
Hell
That's
yeah.
good. Hell yeah. So this question should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want each of you guys to describe the album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less. 3 words each, 9 total.
Lots of stuff.
Okay.
Fair.
Violent,
Mhm.
nice,
Okay.
um, lovely.
Wonderful.
I'm gonna lead with brazen.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with sweet,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
and I'm gonna go with manic.
Hell yeah.
Very good.
Hell yeah. And are you guys able to talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of this album, positive or negative?
I feel like we dove into a lot of them. I can't think of anything
the whole
else.
thing
Anything
was-
like super positive?
worse.
Because you did just talk about like we almost like killed each other
Yeah.
over this one note. So like maybe something like sunny and cute, you know?
Anything positive? I mean, we like throughout. Yeah, I gotta really think about that. No, throughout the entire time, like we were having a good time through it all. Like even though we were 15 feet from where we ended up tracking with the DAW and everything, we kept our living space and our recording space very like segmented, and everybody knew when it was going to sleep time, we would stay up when it wasn't night school doing like Jackbox and Mario Party and stuff like that, and really helps like decompress and lighten the mood to dive in early next day.
We also, and this was one of my favorite parts, every morning we were all having breakfast together. Like the full
Aw.
band, the 2 producers. Yeah, it was really nice. Like everybody was like making avocado toast
Shout out
together.
Ryan Wasaba.
Shout out Ryan Wasaba.
Got
Oh,
the
yeah.
drum sounding.
Absolute lord.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's great. Hell yeah.
That's very sweet. I love hearing that type of shit. Like breakfast and dinners together. It's always cute.
Family meal.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
For this question, we want you guys to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
It's
Well-
purple Doritos.
Well, but we got a new one now.
I don't care about
There's
the
a new
pretzels.
vegan one.
Oh,
So me and Rosa are vegan, so it's purple Doritos. That's it.
Mhm.
mhm.
Yeah.
The other night we went to a show and stopped at a gas
Sweet
station
chili.
at 3 a.m. and found I'm not gonna product placement them, but we found this bag of pretzels that has
Lenny
protein.
and Larry's, they've been good to us.
Oh yeah,
Lenny
Lenny
and
and
Larry's,
Larry's.
they were
Hell
my
yeah.
shout out on
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
We
Lenny
don't
and
have any sponsor conflicts. You don't have to worry about that.
So they started doing a protein pretzel, and there's a pizza flavor that I thought was
Yeah, it's
pretty
like
great.
pizza combos.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that
But
fucks.
otherwise, yeah, purple Doritos. If I am lucky, Guayaki yerba mate, Blueforia.
Mm.
That's my energy drink of choice.
Mhm.
Otherwise,
Mhm.
any seltzer, really, just
Mhm.
sparkling water.
Fuck with seltzer. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
I was gonna say the same thing, particularly non-flavored sparkling liquid death.
What?
I'll get like 4 or 5 of those. If it's, I'll drink a flavored one, but that little bit of sugar, I just feel like I'm drinking a Sprite, and my tummy don't feel good. You know, what I'm saying?
You
The
know what?
flavored ones have like 3 grams of sugar.
I had no idea.
Wait, from who? Because
Liquid death.
oh yeah. Sorry, you did specify liquid death, but I'm seeing like bubbly, and I'm like, I know for a fact bubbly does not. Yeah, no, liquid death does put like 3 grams of sugar in there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Somewhere in the house, I got one of the wretched ice cream sundae flavor. Oh, you got one? Let's go. Yeah, this is for a dark day, or maybe when LP3 gets finished, it's chocolate. Hot
Oh
fudge.
my god, where the fuck did you find that?
I
Online.
don't remember, but I think a case nowadays goes for like $200.
And you drank them?
There's 2 or 3 left, but yeah, I did.
That's what I'm
Did
saying.
it taste good?
It was really
No, it's
tastes
awful.
like chocolate water. Their
No.
scientists are like evil. They have evil food scientists working in those labs.
Imagine like
It was
drinking
opposite day.
Hershey's chocolate syrup right out the bottle, but
Mhm.
just like throw some Sprite in with it, and that's what it tastes like.
I have no emotions towards that.
I ate way too much before this interview to be having this conversation.
My fault.
Alright, and for these last couple questions, we're actually gonna shift away from music if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Cool. Dude, you and me both. Hell yeah. So we're actually gonna go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
There's this place in Columbus called Taqueria,
Mhm.
and they do a Korean fried chicken burrito that I gotta say.
Say less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. And then, as I stated earlier, non-flavored sparkling liquid death. I'm set. Take me out.
That's solid, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll probably go with green curry, Thai green curry with tofu and a Thai iced tea.
Oh my
Oh,
god, I
we
love
do
green
love
curry.
Pepsi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fox. Another good pick.
When we were on tour in 2022 in the summer, we played Florida. What city was it where there was the bar that people were smoking inside? It was really tiny.
Will's Pub?
Yeah, but what city?
Oh wait,
Was it
that's
like
Orlando.
Orlando?
So
So
that's not Will's Pub.
in Orlando, I got lost when they all went to find food and ended up somewhere completely different. I thought they were going to a Chinese place nearby. They went to a Japanese place. So I basically found this Chinese place and was like, I'm hungry. I gotta find something. They had probably the best salt and pepper tofu I've ever had, probably ever will have.
Mhm.
I would pick that and a blueberry pomegranate bubbly, but it's
Ooh.
like
Oh.
but it's like a liter big, and I just 2 hands like I'm 6 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Fuck yeah.
Fuck
I'm right
yeah.
there with you. Mhm.
So if you could live in one fiction world for a week, where would you live?
I'll go first. I know this one. I would pick probably Sunnydale, California, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Ooh, hell yeah.
I would say, just because I want to see what the vibe is like, Spamtopia.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you know, you know.
I don't, but I'm curious. So
Look it
Oh,
up
I'll do it
after
on-
this and
Yeah,
tell me what you think.
on my own time. Yeah. All right. Okay. I have homework. Cool.
Yep.
You can say what you whispered.
No, that was a joke.
Okay.
I said Hogwarts as a joke,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, fuck it, Hogwarts.
Yeah. All right.
Fuck it, man.
We get it a lot. So
Yeah.
it's like, what house are you?
I would actually
Oh,
rather
shit.
live. I would rather live in in Twilight
Oh, that
universe.
fucks
Yo,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's solid. Yeah, I might.
Mm-hmm.
I would live in Forks for a week.
Fuck it. We're moving to Forks.
We're moving to
We're-
Forks.
Oh, so you're all choosing Twilight now.
Yeah.
Fuck Spamtopia.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
sure. And I have the honor of asking the last question. Every single person we've spoken to has actually said it is the most important question. What is your favorite color?
Is black a color?
No.
Ooh, okay.
Mine's pink.
Classic.
I'm very partial to it's a tie. Like a deep forest green or like a burnt ass orange.
Pick one.
Ooh.
Deep forest green.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Mine would be
Not
like
much of a tie.
A two pink. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, pink and pink. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. All right. Well, as Glory said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you guys would like to plug?
Stream This Bitter Garden.
Yeah. I don't know when this is coming out, but we're going on tour
A
with
couple
Wake Up
weeks.
Dead. Might be over by the time this comes out. I don't know.
Hope to see you at a show. Or
We're gonna play more shows this year.
we're gonna
Yeah.
play even
That's
more shows.
So
Even
We will be playing a Furnace Fest after party, and we're very excited to do that with Norma Jean and Horse the Band, Birmingham in October. So, yeah, catch us there. We'll be hanging out all weekend, I think. So,
Oh yeah. All right. Well, thank you, sounds guys. Been For Your Health, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.